Um, Hello, my name is Glenn, and tonight I want to talk about the LFS movement in Ireland. Um, this is the first time I've done a live feed on the YouTube, um, so I'm not sure how it really works, to be honest, but I can see that there's one person watching, but that's okay. Facebook tonight isn't great. Seems to be an awful lot of technical issues with Facebook. A lot of people are unable to post. Um, Hopefully, you can hear me. I'm not too sure in relation to the sound quality. However, let's uh, let's see, can we make a wee video? So, as you know, the LFS movement in Ireland is growing. Um, in 10 weeks, we now have 25 or so thousand followers. Um, from every background. Um, Thanks very much, Anam. Anam, is it? Thank you very much. Um, so we've 25,000 plus followers across 32 counties in Ireland. As you know, Ireland is divided between the north and the south, unfortunately, and but yet the Yellow Vest movement is in all counties in Ireland. So, first thing I wanted to talk about tonight was a citizens initiated referendum. Citizens initiated referendum was first written into the Irish Constitution in 1922 and then usurped from the Constitution in 1937 with the creation of the Taoiseach's office. And for those of you who don't know what the Taoiseach's office is, the Taoiseach's office is the Prime Minister's office. So this gave the Taoiseach's office more power and stripped powers away from the president. And the first Taoiseach being Eamon de Valera. There's a suggestion that the plebiscite that was held in relation to the Constitution in 1937, with the withdrawal of Articles 48 and 49, was done improperly. And if that's the case, there could be a case to put forward that the reinstating of Articles 48 and 49 of the 1922 Free State Constitution is still in effect. But that's for brighter minds and more intellectual minds to figure out if they could address that legally. So, what is citizens initiated referendum? There are three types of citizens initiated referendum. We have local, we have county, and we have national. And what it means basically is if there's a policy or if there's an issue or a problem within your town or village or city, in your county or across the nation, that you can collect a certain amount of signatures within a period of time and present it to the referendum commission and hold work with them on the wording of the referendum and then hold a referendum nationally, countywide, or in your town or villages. At no time does the government have any involvement in it other than to enact the legislation. Now, it was suggested by another YouTuber last night that there's fears that if the migration patterns continue across Europe, that citizens initiated referendum may be under threat and used by uh, various groups with various agendas to change uh, legislation in favor of a particular group or in favor of a minority or a majority. However, that's not the case because written in the Constitution there are certain variable rights, and those rights can't be changed. Those rights stay the same. All citizens initiated referendum does is changes the legislation in relation to various aspects of our society. Uh, I'd love to give you different examples, but there aren't really very many to go by. Uh, Citizens initiated referendum has been going for about 180 years in Switzerland, and who wouldn't want to live in Switzerland? They have a great democracy, and yes, they have problems, like every country has problems. But when your politicians are making decisions and they're not listening to the people, it becomes a major problem. So that citizens initiated referendum. It's direct democracy. It's when the people take control of their own government and governance, and it also allows us to hold those that are corrupt responsible. Because more often than not, corruption, especially white collar corruption or political corruption, um, goes unpunished. And not only does it go unpunished, but those that are found even guilty of it tend to be re-elected. We've seen this in Italy, we've seen it in Spain, we've seen it in France, and we've seen it in Ireland. Um, in a more recent case, we have a sitting TD from Tipperary who is a convicted tax fraud. He was also indicted on corruption charges in the Moriarty Tribunal. Just last weekend gone, we had the sitting Taoiseach sitting with a prior disgraced Taoiseach from a different party in the stands of Lansdowne Road, watching the Ireland and French game, um, which Ireland won. But here's the thing. Currently, our system seems to be broken. We protest and we protest and we protest and we protest, and the government refuses to listen. It simply refuses to listen because it has an agenda, and you don't fit into that agenda. It's as simple as that. We live in a society where we might as well be slaves. Over 60 to 70% of our salaries and our income goes on taxes and levies and services that we are not getting. In Ireland at the moment, mental health services are almost non existent. People suffering from depression, mental illness are not being seen. In fact, Ireland has an epidemic when it comes to suicide. Unofficial figures suggest that somewhere in the region of 14,000 Irish citizens have committed suicide in the last 10 years. Official figures say three. There are numerous cases where people are losing hope and committing suicide. our waiting lists in our hospitals in the HSE are 850,000. Just before Christmas, Minister Harris, the Minister for Health, claimed when the figure was 700,000 that we were turning a corner. And not 2 months later, it's now 850,000. It's unacceptable in a country that's the 8th wealthiest country in the world. Now, I can sit here for hours and hours discussing 500 or 600 different problems that we have facing us in Ireland. And I can discuss the hundreds of problems facing people in other countries where the Yellow Vest movement are. But the common thread that we all have in the Yellow Vest movement is that we all want citizens initiated referendum and direct democracy. We want to take control of what is our right as citizens to forge our own futures. None of that is based in racism, and none of that is based in hatred. All of it is based on building a community that doesn't just cherish one culture over another culture, but cherishes all cultures. Because inevitably, the powers to be in the EU want to destroy everyone's culture. It doesn't matter if you're German. It doesn't matter if you're French. Swiss. Well, Swiss are okay. English, Scottish, and Irish, Welsh. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from within the EU. The EU wants a non-binary EU citizen. Yeah, 1.6 billion. What is it? 16 million per day. Interest-only payments to Brussels won't cover the 7.5 trillion negative yield loans on the corrupt global elite. Fair point. Fair point, Paul. Thank you very much. The keep them coming if you want, because I'll read them out. No problem. You're right, but the global elite don't owe that money. We owe that money, according to the 1%, and they want us to pay for it while stripping the planet of its resources, making people poorer. And poverty rates in Western world have increased in the last decade, and faster still in the last 2 to 4 years. In Ireland, in 2014, the poverty rate in Ireland was 16%. In 2016 to 2018, the poverty rate increased by 9% to 25%. Now, this is in an economy where the spin masters will tell you that we're doing fine, business is booming, zero unemployment, and yet poverty is going up. As I said, I could go on and on and on and on and on about all the various different thanks very much. Sorry, I have to read the comments on the side, so I'm just reading Anam. I hope I'm getting that correct. Soul friend. He's just telling me that he signed a petition, and yeah, absolutely, try and get everyone to sign it. Any petition that comes out with citizens initiate a referendum on it, sign it. Sign them all. If you get your hands on them, get everyone you can to sign them. Because we are the majority. We plebs on the ground, the working man, the working woman, We're the majority. They're not the majority. They're less than the 1%. And we talk about them as if it's a conspiracy, but it isn't. People are hand selected to become politicians, and they're groomed um, to be a politician. And there's so much nastiness and so much bitterness. And we, the public, the Johnny Josephs of the world, are completely disconnected and disenfranchised in relation to politics and what it can do to help us. Um, and because we're so disenfranchised and disconnected, we don't engage anymore. And that's creating its own problem because all of these, I don't know what you'd call them, neoliberal, um, personally, I call them neoliberal Nazis. That's personally what I call them because that's what they are. We just have an open concept, you know, where we get poorer and poorer all the time. Services are stripped, rights are stripped. And soon enough, they'll have a box in every corner where we can just step in and have ourselves euthanized. It sounds far-fetched and a bit, a bit flip, but we've seen the rollout of various different killing machines across Europe and the world, and I'm sure that that'll be their next big thing. I'm just a normal guy. I was never an activist. I never was really into politics. So normal people could do the same thing. If, just on a personal note, if setting up, take it like this. 11 weeks ago, or 12 weeks ago, thereabouts, I was sitting watching the television just after putting my children to bed. And I saw on the news the Gilets jaunes in Paris, and I saw the police and the riots, and I said, "Whoa, what's that all about? What's happening over there?" So I went and I did a little bit of research, and obviously, I looked it up on YouTube, and I discovered that they too were being taxed to their collars, to the pin of their collars. They too were facing another roaring tax to be hoisted on to the general public. And they weren't going to take it anymore. Simple as, they weren't going to take it anymore. So I went to my computer and I tapped into my computer. Yellow Vest movement in Ireland, and there was none at all. So I waited for about a week, and every day I checked, and there was none, because I was expecting somebody else to do it, because that's what we all do. We wait for somebody else to do it for us. So I clicked create page, and just like that, boom. Now, I'm not a seasoned activist, and to be frank and fair, I've met some absolutely wonderful activists. And at the same time, I've met some belligerent, nasty, horrible people. Facebook and other social media platforms are horrendous. They're horrible. People have absolutely no etiquette whatsoever. They have no manners whatsoever. They say whatever they want unfiltered and attack you with hatred and vile and horrible, spurious comments. Now, so you take that on the chin. It depends on the type of person you are. But you take it on the chin. But what I have figured out in the last 11 weeks is that from accusations from the left and accusations about the LFS movement from the right, is that we really, really don't have our shit together. We're fighting amongst ourselves all the time about all of the issues. And at the same time, the governments and those running the governments are laughing at us all. That's as simple as they're laughing at us. They're not listening. So, again, going back to Paris, they're not listening. And the frustration has boiled over into riots. And then and police brutality. Like, have you seen the brutality of the police in Paris? When have you ever seen such brutality and wanton brutality? The last time it was seen, maybe, was the Bloody Sunday massacre in Derry, where paratroopers shot dead civilians who were peacefully protesting. And there are other countless occasions. Do people have to always die before people do something? As I said, I'm just a normal guy. I'm a single father. I've got 4 kids. All 4 of my kids are young children. And what terrifies me the most as a father is that, and being Irish, is that we have a tradition of exporting our children. And what terrifies me the most is that when my children come of age and they finish school or college or whatever profession they decide to go into, that they have to leave Ireland and I'm left here to fend for myself in a country where the medical system is broke, where the welfare system is broke, where every support system that you can mention is either overwhelmed or just broke, you know. So, hi Jennifer, how are you? You're 100% right, honey. You can get so nasty on Facebook. It's a strange little world. It's a very strange and startling little world. And sometimes I think to myself, if I had known, I wouldn't have done it. However, I did do it, and we are all here. And just like the Yellow Vest movements all over the world, our cousins in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Germany, Brussels, Denmark, the movement is growing and growing right across the world. That's undeniable. But you won't see it in mainstream media. You 100% will not see it on mainstream media. And when you do see it, it's of a riot. Someone getting brutalized by a policeman. But you won't see the peaceful stuff. So, going back to the left and the right, I spoke to a man the other day, and he told me that he was an alt-right nationalist. And he said, that's what the Yellow Vest movement stands for. And I said, no, it's not. And at the same time, it's not an alt-left movement either. It's neither left and it's neither right. Here's the thing, and what they're all forgetting is no matter what your issue is, if we have citizens initiate a referendum, whether you're left or right leaning, you could go through the process of seeking a referendum. You can go out, you can get your petition, you can get it signed, you can fight your corner. And when the public vote on it, at least you know that you did your best. You either won or you were defeated. Recently, our Taoiseach, if you want to call him that, signed 2 treaties. He signed them for no other reason because he wanted to. He didn't ask the people of Ireland to sign them. He didn't, it wasn't in his mandate. He's not even elected. It wasn't put to a referendum. And we were signed up, just like that. We're a neutral country who has an historical neutrality when it comes to wars. And the reason why we have such neutrality is because we have historically been involved in a lot of wars where a lot of Irish people have been killed, butchered, and murdered. It's a couple of days, 4 days to St. Patrick's Day, when the entire world will tune in, adorn the green, and claim their Irish heritage. And that's fantastic. It's lovely to see. But it's not so great being Irish. I'm very, very proud of my heritage and I'm very, very proud of my history. And I'm a proud Irishman. But I hate living in Ireland. It's bleak. There's no hope. Especially because the left and the right are constantly fighting with each other. And while they're fighting over the scraps, the government is constantly stripping everybody of their wealth, of their homes. So another thing, let's see. I can ramble on all night, and I can tell you an awful lot about myself, but it isn't about me. It's not about me, uh, and it's not about any other individual for that matter. And that's the very reason why there are no leaders in the Yellow Vest movement. The reason why there's no leaders in the Yellow Vest movement is so that nobody can hijack the movement. Simple as. Because we have seen time and time again movements, grassroots movements, grow and grow and grow. And just on the verge of some dramatic change in our society, we've seen some political party latch onto it and ruin it and sell it out. We've seen it in Ireland during the water protesters. The the EU, UN, all Zionist banks, media, NGOs, tech companies, Marxist colleges, borderless charities must be disbanded for all of Ireland to keep its Irish culture heritage in Ireland. You have a point. A lot of these NGOs do, I suppose, a little bit of good, but we know from charities and transparency in charities in Ireland that 1 in every €5 that goes to a charity gets to where it's supposed to go, and the other €4 goes into the ETA or someone's pocket. yeah, you like it right now. It's not just about Ireland. It's about every nation. We're now being told, no matter what nation you come from, if you speak out about UN migration, you're racist. It's the stupidest thing in the world. And I put it into context. I don't know what the government's plans are in relation to how many people they'd like to bring to Ireland. I do know that Leo Varadkar said he would like to bring 1 million people to Ireland in the next 10 years. Well, it's less now, actually. We're nearly at the end stage of that particular plan. So it's within the next 3 years. Uh, so just put a pin in that for a second. There are 10,000 people homeless in Ireland. There are 100,000 people living in various different types of emergency accommodation, rental schemes, and other types of programs. In addition to those people, there's 70,000 refugees already housed in direct provision centres nationwide. Just so you know what a direct provision centre is, it's a concentration camp. It's a KIP. It's horrendous conditions where people should not be living. Doesn't matter where they're from, they should not be living there. For the very reason is it's a prison. It's inhumane. Okay? But we'll take that 10, 170,000, that's 180,000 people that they don't have a home for. And they're about to bring in 1 million more people. Where are they going to put them? Currently, right now in Ireland, if we were to build, and the most that we could build is maybe 40 to 45,000 units of homes per year. Sounds like a lot. But with the growth in the population, even if we did 40,000 homes per year, it would take 25 years before we catch up on the current growth. And that's not adding the 1 million people to Ireland. Currently, we've 700,000 Irish people living abroad. 2.5 million Irish citizens live abroad. 700,000 of those left Ireland in the last 11 years. 700,000. So this St. Patrick's Day, that 700,000 people will be dotted all around the world, waving their little green flags, wishing they were here. Well, they don't wish that they were here anymore because they know what's going on here. And they don't want to come back because those that do come back under the pretense that it's zero unemployment and high salaries and plenty of good jobs is all bogus. It's all a lie. It's a spin. There is no recovery in Ireland. None. Just because they keep saying there's a recovery, there isn't. I'm not even going to go into that, man. I'm not. I'm sorry. That's a very, very private and personal women's health issue, and I'm not going to get into it. I don't care. I'm a man. I've got 4 kids. Someone accused me of being a chauvinist yesterday. Just so you know, I'm a single father with 4 kids. 3 of them are women, so I'm certainly not a chauvinist pig. They're the boss, and uh, uh, you can accuse somebody on Facebook of anything you want to accuse them of. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a brilliant example. So on Saturday, we joined a protest, and the protest was for right to homes. See, the civil right to a home. And because we joined that protest, It was a housing group had had decided to do the protest, and they invited various groups, and about two or possibly 3 dozen different organizations from uh, the traveling community, from people before profit, Sinn Féin, the Sinn Féin Socialist Party, the Workers something or other, and a load of other groups joined the action group's protest. But another activist who claims ownership of all activity in Ireland and how it's supposed to be done, and he calls everybody a novice, and he knows who he is, decided to tell a big fat lie. And the lie was that people before profit were telling people not to fly the Irish flag at the demonstration. And in fact, there was a people before profit demonstration. But that was a lie. What I came away from is, even though I was attacked personally and called a racist, what I came away with is this. It was a brilliant day. And I saw many people from many different backgrounds united under a goal to make having a home a right. And then last night, we were accused of being too left, not enough right. Like, make up your minds. Because whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, and I don't care who you are or who you think you are, you're just as arrogant as Leo and his cronies. Because you think that the right is going to solve all the problems, and the left think that the left are going to solve all the problems. Bullshit. It's us people in the middle. That's who solves the problem. We just need to be activated enough. And all of your begrudgery, insults, and attacks from the left and the right, and your arrogant ways of treating people, is preventing normal people from getting involved. As I said, there are some fantastic, beautiful people, absolutely beautiful, caring, loving, human, empathic people out there doing amazing work, struggling every night of the week in the freezing cold temperatures to feed people, to clothe people, to help people. But these people who want to put us all into pigeonholes and boxes, pass on lies, make up stories, fudge the truth a little bit, you know. So I'll address something as well. I was accused of being a racist on the grounds that I shared a joke that was slightly racist. And in hindsight, it wasn't a good thing, because, right, what's my excuse? Well, a couple of things. Number one, I'm Irish, and we tend to see the funny side in a lot of things. We tend to laugh and joke, and we have a very, very dark sense of humor. But that doesn't excuse it, and I do apologize. Um, but it was a joke I saw, and it was funny, and I laughed at it, and I shared it, and thousands of people thought it was funny, because I'm actually a bit of a Funny guy. You wouldn't think it with the scowl. But yeah, so I shared it, and in hindsight, it was probably a stupid thing to do. No, it was a stupid thing to do. But I shared other issues, and the trolls who like to go onto people's pages and scroll down and selectively screenshot various posts over a 15-year period. Sad or what? Okay. Took photographs and decided that these photographs made me a racist. So let's talk about some of those photographs or those screenshots. One was about a rapist who happened to be a refugee. And it was his second time, I think. I can't really remember the story, but however, I was like anybody else. I was horrified by it, and I was, upset by it, and I felt sorry for the victim. But because it was shared by Tommy Robinson, who I didn't really know who was in the first place, but now I do. But because it was shared by Tommy Robinson, I was called a racist. So I was called a racist for having a negative opinion about a racist. Sorry, but not about a racist, by a rapist. Rape is rape. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you commit rape, it's wrong. And anyone who wants to defend a rapist over I'm not even going to go there. And now, and last night, that was used against me when I was commenting on another friend's post on Facebook, and they used that particular post and another one, and the other post was about funnily enough, happened to be a Tommy Robinson post as well. But what it was, the contents of the post, the context of the post was that there was a young boy. He had squirted water into another boy's mouth because he was a bully or whatever it was, and then lots of Muslim men up and down the length and breadth of the United Kingdom were threatening to come down and kill this young boy's mother and himself. Now, I don't give a shit what religion you are. That's unacceptable behavior. And that's why I shared it. If you saw online somebody, if you were walking down the street and you saw somebody threaten a child, I would like to think that you as a human being would protect that child. But then this is Ireland after all. And we're very good at protecting people who carry out crimes against children. Yeah. Generations of it. Very good at it. Don't let that get out. Let's put that away in a box for the next 75 years. So we all have to start having a conversation. We all have to stop attacking each other. I'm not the Yellow Vest movement. I'm a supporter of the Yellow Vest movement. But I am fully aware that the things that I say, I'm responsible for. But the things that other people say, I'm not responsible for. And I don't care if you think that I'm some sort of a de facto leader or whatever you think. I'm not responsible for the comments of other people. And nor is anybody else in the Yellow Vest movement. The only person who's responsible for a negative, nasty, ignorant comment is the person who wrote it. And it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. And you're an embarrassment to your parents. Because your mother and your father, I know for a fact, whoever you are, taught you differently. Taught you to say please, taught you to say thank you, taught you to treat people with respect and dignity. And if you don't know how to do that, I suggest you don't comment on other people's posts. I'm not going to be pigeonholed, and I'm not going to be put into a box. And neither is the Yellow Vest movement. And if you don't agree with something that somebody says in the Yellow Vest movement, well, then what I suggest you do is you put on a yellow vest and you have your voice heard, just like everybody else has. I don't care what religion you are, what color you are, what skin tone you are, where you come from, what county you come from, and what sexual preference you are. I don't care. It's noise. Wants a prosperous future for ourselves and our children. So I know I'm probably ranting and raving here, and not really making much sense. But let me see. Maybe someone can ask me a question in the little feed there. I think being called a racist does mean a lot to a lot of people. It certainly does mean a lot to a lot of people. It's one of the most horrendous things you could call somebody, especially if it's not true. But people use the word so flip now. It's shocking. Because racism is when you do something to somebody based on hatred, based on the color of their skin, based on their religion, whatever. But to bandy around a word like that for the sake of closing down an argument, closing down a conversation, not even an argument, it's a conversation. Like a lot of people in this country aren't against refugees. They're not. They're not against refugees. They just can't figure out in their heads where they're going to be put. You know, we don't want, we're a very generous, kind, loving people. And we want people who come to this country to be able to create a life, a prosperous life worth living. You know, you'll hear me saying that a lot. A life worth living. You know, when is the next yellow protest? I'm not sure where you are from. Uh, uh, Amitty 29. Let's put out all the fake names. Sorry, I'm only teasing. Wicklow. The next one is on Saturday in Dublin. There's actually two this week. So there's one on Friday at 2 o'clock on Friday at the Spire in Dublin. And we're going to an undisclosed location. And then the second one is on Saturday in Dublin again. That's the nearest one to Wicklow. There is one there's one in Galway. There's one in Donegal. There's one in Cork, I think. One in Waterford. Letterkenny, and a few other places. But if there isn't one in your area, maybe start one. You know, get in touch. There's a page for every county. If you're not happy with those pages, create your own page. You know, build your own little Yellow Vest movement, and hopefully we can join together. If not to agree, but to disagree, to move on and disagree, to unite in that disagreement, to focus on the change that is needed in Ireland. You know, that's what I would call you to do. You don't have to believe in what I believe in. God, no. And at the same time, I don't have to believe what you believe in either. So if uh, a Matty, is it a Matty? Yeah. A Matty in Wicklow, if you can come to Dublin, you're more than welcome. Everyone's welcome. If you can't, maybe consider get in touch with one of the pages. I'm not sure if you can do it tonight because tonight there's something wrong with Facebook. 100%. There's people in Wicklow. There are people in Wicklow who've already started the LFS movement. There's, as far as I know, there's 2 pages in Wicklow. If you get in touch with them, I'm sure they'll be happy to take you on board. 100%. And anybody else for that matter, no matter where you are in the country, get in touch with your local movement. And if there isn't one, start one. I know yesterday there was one started in Tala in Dublin, and there was another one started in Cabra. And I would pay very, very close attention to the Cabra one because it's very close to the constituency of the Taoiseach, which is Castleknock. And there is a little bit of stuff going on up there that's a bit unexplainable and corrupt. So I would pay very close attention to the Cabra page and make of it what you will. Do I think the EU will last much longer? I don't know. It's not looking good. I think probably no. I don't know. Will the EU last longer? What do you think? I know that they're taking a very, very hard line on the protesters in France, especially in Paris. And there is suggestions and evidence to show that the EU border force is the ones carrying out most of the brutality in Paris. So they're already deployed. And we are about to face huge carry on here in the next couple of days, weeks with Brexit. So I think we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see. I think the mass the I think the leaders of the EU were mistaken to have such an open door policy to migration from the Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia, and various other places. And all of that's been thrown into a big melting pot of just a vast. Just you tell me. But at least we can have the conversation about it. The EU, I suppose, was started with very, very good intentions, but after a while, the good intentions need to be checked. They need to be checked to see if they're still good. You know. I would like to think that there would be Do I think that there will be a shift in the next election? A shift. Let's see. Let's take it for example. So we've got Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, which are essentially the same party. We have who do we have? Oh, Sinn Féin, um, who don't seem to be really in opposition. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That's just my opinion. They don't seem to be in opposition. They seem to come out and say every now and again that, this, that, and the other thing. Mary Lou says this and Mary Lou says that, and she seems to be very concerned about Brexit, as you should be. But we don't know what that's going to happen. I think personally, I think there'll be a bit of an egg on the face thing there, but um, the usual carry on crisis management. You know, never plan ahead, never plan ahead. You know, crisis management in every single aspect of everything they do, everything they touch turns to shit. Um, but let's see. My personal view is that none of them. Yeah, none of them are. Look at some of the independents sold out. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are just the same party, and they do this tennis game every week. Mihal said that Leo's a bad man, and Leo said that Mihal's a bad man, and they don't really mean it, and it's crap, absolute rubbish, and we can all see it. Every single man, woman, and children in this country, and the dog on the street know it's rubbish. And anyone who supports either party is an idiot. Fianna Fáil got us into this mess. Fine Gael made it worse. Simple as. And there's 40% of the public who would vote for them tomorrow morning. Seriously. Why? Are you working for them? Do you get paid by them? Why? And then, so we have all the opposition parties. What opposition parties? There is no real opposition. So maybe something will happen. Maybe another party will, pucker up. Maybe people will run on the mandate of the LFS movement. I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me to decide. There's better people out there than me. I'm not going to personally attack any politician, although we all love to do that. We all love to bash the politicians. I'm not going to do it for the very reason is it wouldn't waste my time. Just wouldn't waste my time. I say, looking forward to meeting you soon, Matty. That's Jennifer. Thanks, Jennifer. Love you loads, pet. Leo's a puppet. Is that Mega? Is it? Right. Who's oh man, that's a very unfortunate username. Wow. It's a little bit off-putting, but anyways, thanks for the questions. I'm not going to say it out loud. Does anyone have any more questions? Any more questions at all? Any question? Please. And don't ask me anything about 5G. Please, don't. Not mega. It's make Ireland great again. Oh, right. Okay. Right. Right. So, so how do you say? Is it Miga? Mig, Miga? Miga? um, yeah, make Ireland great again. Ireland is great. Ireland's a beautiful country, some fantastic scenery, some really horrible people. But overall, Ireland's a beautiful country and it has beautiful people, wonderful, warm, intelligent, smart, fantastic people. There's a very small minority of people here, very, very small minority, and they're just nasty, nefarious, corrupt to the core individuals. And I don't know. You guys would know more than I would. And the Yellow Vest movement is your movement. Take ownership of it. Grow it, expand on it. You know, and you don't need you know guys like me to come and tell you what to do. You know, I I was asked recently to go to a county to start a movement in that county, and I said, no, 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 no. That's not how it works. It's your county. You live there. I don't. You know what's wrong in that county. I don't. So it's not for me to go to Wicklow or Wexford. Well, I live in Wexford myself, but it's not for me to go to other counties and tell them, or not tell them, but start their movement. They need to do. You guys need to do it yourselves. You need to do it in your own counties. It's not about going to Dublin and protesting in Dublin outside the locked gates at the Dáil. That's not what it's about. It's not about protesting outside the locked gates of the Dáil. And I'm not arrogant enough to be lecturing anybody what to do and what to think and what not to think. Because the people who stand on little podiums with 200 people or 500 people in front of them and tell them that this is what's happening and this is the conspiracy and this is though everything's going to shit. They're simply just as arrogant as Leo, you know? What's that? You're black? You're not black, you're colored. I am black. I don't feel Irish people are racist. If they are, I should be the one to feel it. It's the left who are making the song and the dance. There's a fair point. Um, I met 100%, man. You're 100%. I don't blame anybody for it. Um, I think right now people are angry, people are suffering, people are poor, and they need to blame somebody. And because they can't hold the government account, well, then they're going to blame the weakest in our society. They're going to blame the minorities in our society. They're going to blame everybody else but themselves. But here's the thing: they themselves, especially those that blame everybody else, aren't doing anything about it. They're not fighting for everybody. Um, uh, Ahmed, you are so welcome to. I think I'm sure I know who you are, Andrew, don't I? I have a feeling I know who it is, but we'll. uh, yeah, I like that, Miga. I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us that we're all Trump supporters, and they'll all go gaga about that. Um, I don't know. I think I probably should sign off now. I think I ranted enough. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're left, or it doesn't matter if you're right. It doesn't matter about all of the different issues. And we're not that it doesn't matter. Of course, it matters. But what I mean by it is that citizens initiate a referendum has the power to change it. That's what your forefathers wanted for you. They wanted this country to be run by the people and not by the powers. And there's other various legal issues and various different legal arguments that I could get into, but look, it'll probably just bore you to death, anyways. And I've done enough of that probably for the evening. I really want to thank everybody for joining the live stream tonight. And I hope that you can, well, as I did say, subscribe just down here somewhere, and share is just about here somewhere. If you could do that for me, it would be fantastic. More people need to know about what's happening in across the world in the Yellow Vest movement, and they need to realize that it isn't some flake. Well, maybe it is a flake, but it isn't some, I don't know, lefty, righty, in betweeny. It's about people. It's about people who want a better life for their children, their families, their friends. Good night. Good night, DH. And thanks a million for tuning in. I hope you can share, and hope to see you at one of the protests. And please make yourself, please introduce yourself, and we'll have a good laugh. So I'm going to sign off now, people. Everything that you need to know is on our Facebook page. Please go in and at least attempt to read some of the posts and watch some of the videos. If you don't like a comment that somebody says, feel free to take that person up on it. But I would always, always suggest that you take the high road. Don't attack them and don't abuse them. 2 or 3 sentences on Facebook can be construed as a lifetime epithet. And silly people respond nastily on Facebook. So you just say to them, that's a very unkind comment, and you should show more restraint and some more respect. And with that, I leave yous and love yous. Until the next one, God bless.